Welcome back to this tutorial series on working with the True32 website template. This video tutorial will be about editing the footer of our website. So if we scroll down here, we'll see a little more advanced footer than we've been looking at in the past. So on our typical website that we've been looking at, all we've seen as a footer has been this little bar down here, and that's it. And so all it had was a phone number and a little blurb about my company that produces these websites, and that was it, and the copyright information. But I've added this widget area as well, so we want to kind of go over these areas and how they come about and how you edit them. You really don't have a lot down here that you can do, so let's go to our customizer, and I've come in here to the customizer, and then I've come to the footer section. So this is where you control that small footer at the very bottom is here, and then the widget area, I don't do much here because you can actually see them. Well, this setting here is saying to put the footer on every page, the widget area for the footer. So that secondary footer that we see when we scroll down here, this bigger darker area, this is telling it to be on every page, as opposed to your other option would be to disable it altogether or on the home page only. And typically if you want this, you're typically going to want that on all the pages. So right now it's set to all pages, so we'll leave it there. And then you can style this to some extent. So here I've told it that this background color is this darker gray, and I don't have any kind of gradient on it. I could have a gradient. You can see that this is a little lighter at the top and a little darker at the bottom is what the gradient does, and you can leave that on or off. Or you could have a background image here, and we don't have that. And so we've told it that we want the text everywhere to be white, and we want our link colors. So some of these things are links, like these. Now because I'm in this customizer, these links don't work. You see I'm getting the circle with a hash through it saying that these don't work, but all of these links, I've said I want the link to be white, but then when I hover over it I want it to be gold. And so you see that's happening. All these are links as well. And these are internals while they're working. We could actually go there, but we can't go here because these are external links while we're in the customizer. These work, but they don't work while we're here. And so that's how you control this footer widget styling. And then of course you could, depending on how savvy you are with CSS, you could come in here and do a lot of stuff with CSS. And we're going to see how these things are created here in a minute in the footer widget area. So I can't do everything for the footer widget here. I can see it from here. So if I come down to the footer layout, this is where I'm actually controlling this part down here. And like I say, you don't have a lot. Your only options are that you can have none, one column, or two columns. So obviously I have two because I have some information over here and I have some information over here. But you could have one column and just have it center up if you wanted to, or have it left or have it right, or none. And if you use this footer, some people would do that. They would get rid of this secondary footer. So what I've said is I want two columns. That's our answer here. And I've said this column one, the left column, is a text column, and all I've had to do is just type in this case, your phone number here, but normally that would have your phone number there, and it's just a text column. You don't have to have any HTML or anything because it's just text. And then I've also said this is text, but I am having to have some HTML here because I'm trying to get this link to work, to link to my website. So I've said, you know, that I've got this copyright for 2020, and then I would add your company name here, which is all your websites have that, and then a space and the pike sign, and then a space and then site by. So you see all of that text there. But then this part basically says to go to my website, but to do it in a new window. So this target equals blank is saying go to a new window. So you see here we have three windows open. If we pop over here and we could click on it, you see that it opened another window here going to my website. That's what that HTML for the target equals blank is saying, open up another window for that. So you don't have a lot of control here. The styling here is for this part down here only. And I've basically said if there's text, make it this dark burgundy maroon color, and you see that text, and this text is this dark burgundy maroon. I've said if I have a link, make it the gold color, and you see this is gold. And I've said if I hover over it, make it green, and you see that happen there. So when I hovered over it, it turns green. If I wanted an image down here, I could put an image there. If I wanted a gradient down here, I could turn this on. Of course, it's so small it probably won't even show the gradient. I can tell a little bit that it's a little lighter at the top, and it may even actually be lighter at the top and the bottom and darker in the middle. But the bigger it is, the better you can tell. Obviously, this is lighter at the top than it is at the bottom with that gradient turned on. And then your last option is this footer parallax. So the footer parallax, see when I scroll how this is stationary? All of the footer is stationary as I scroll. If we turn this, and it's on right now, it's enabled. If we turn this off, then it'll no longer be stationary, and it'll work like the rest of the website. It'll go away. So it scrolls up and down. Some people prefer it on, some people prefer it off. So that's how all of that works. Now let's go over to the widget area and see how we got these things to show up. And this probably could be considered advanced. All of these different lessons we've done so far, I believe there's 13 videos so far, would be considered basic, but this section here might be considered advanced. And we can see these from over in that other area, but we can't really do anything, so we need to be here. So basically, these are your options over here, the things you can do or use in the footer. These are things you've maybe worked on and slid them down here in a holding pattern. So this is one that I am using a plugin for, and we may slide that up here in a minute. But right now, we're not using the sidebar at all. You see it's empty. But if we open each one of these up, we see that we are using one. We actually have two widgets in footer column 1. We have one widget in footer column 2. We have one widget in footer column 3. And we have no widgets in footer column 4. And then this is just an after, so it would put one under everything, more or less centered. So let's look at what we've got here. In footer column 1, we have chosen an HTML widget from over here, so that would be this custom HTML. I slid it over here, and then I added this custom HTML. So that's why I say this would be more of an advanced class. If you don't know how to do all of this, we basically said, hey, we want some padding in here, and we want everything to be white that doesn't have color. Anything that doesn't have color for it to be white. This is controlling these icons right here. All right? That might help to know that. So you see here, this is like a URL going to my Facebook page. And so, you know, this is telling it to be the size of the icon. This is telling you some things that are helpful SEO-wise, that we have an image title in case someone's blind, or in case the image is not working, it tells the person that this weird-looking blob that's there that's not the icon it should be Facebook. That's what that stuff does. So we've got all of this HTML here is saying go to Facebook. All of this here is saying go to Instagram. All of this here is saying go to my Twitter, my LinkedIn, my Pinterest, and my YouTube channel. So if you want to have a section like that, basically, and that doesn't include this logo down here, that's in that other widget. If you wanted to have this whole section down here, I'm glad to share with you what you need to do this. It's a little more complicated than everything else we've done. So I can share with you that snippet code, and you'd have to replace these addresses, the HTTP part, you'd have to replace that with your URL to go to your Pinterest account or your YouTube account or any of those accounts that you're trying to link to. But that doesn't get everything. That just gets it, the link working, but the logos, all these icons actually have to be in your media library, and then you have to tell it where that's at. So one of these is telling it where to go, and one of these is telling it where the icon is. So this is the path to the icon in the true32.com, WP content, uploads, a folder for the year 2020 of the month of March, and then it's the icon's name is facebook.png. And if you're using any of the plugins to do this, these name schemes have to be exact. You can't have any, it couldn't say Facebook 2. It has to be exactly like that for it to work. That's this first one. I'll say done there. Then we have a second text one, and basically all I've done is slid in the media. Now that, as you see here, the wording is white and the background in this text box is white, so you can't really see that. Here's the HTML to make that happen. Same kind of thing. You know, we're saying go here when you click on this thing, but here's where that logo lives. You know how big it is. I want it to be 300 by 102. Now this is actually an active text box. If I'm in here working on this in this media format, I can actually take this thing and I don't have to do this in HTML. Normally, in a lot of areas, you would have to come in here and tell it the size that you want it to be, but I can just grab this thing and drag it, and it'll change the size of it to whatever it needs to be. Here, we'll change those numbers to make that work. So I'm going to minimize that. And then we have this center section that is really just the menu. And you could have a secondary menu. Maybe it doesn't have the submenus and just shows them in a straight line. You could do that. It would work just as well. I didn't take the time to do that. I just came in here and slid one of these. Here it is, the navigation menu. Slid. I mean, it's just this easy. I could slide a second one in right now. And then you just select the menu. Well, I only have one menu to select. But if I do that and save it, we'll now have, if we update this page, we'll now have a really long 2 menus here. So let's go back and get rid of that second one. And it is as simple as sliding it out of here. Now if I wanted to keep it, I could slide it down into this area down here, save it. But since I don't want to keep it, I'll just say I want to delete it, and I'm good. And then we'll go back over here, and we've got our third column. We've got a text contact, and this does have some HTML in it. This looks simplistic here, but when we look at it on the website, when we update this, we'll get it back like it was. And so here we see that we've actually got a map. So when we slide over it, you see it becomes a link, and you see the little pin, because this is a Google Maps shortcode here, that's going to actually take them. If they click on that, it'll actually take them to open another window, and there's the map to the actual location that we want to go to. And there's a picture of the place that I have stuck in there. And then if they have their phone connected to their computer, because this code is somewhat sophisticated down here, then it would actually dial it for them if they clicked on this phone number. I don't have my phone connected to it, but that's how sophisticated you can get with HTML. And we've come in here with an iClass and added the phone number and added some padding. But you can get as sophisticated as you want with this stuff. I'm glad to help you with it. So mostly what I've been showing up to this point is things that you could do yourself if you wanted to. Obviously, I'm here willing and available. I currently charge $50 an hour to do stuff outside of what I agree to do when I start your website. So if you want to add additional galleries or add additional images, feel free to contact me about that. And if you want to do some of these more sophisticated things, feel free to ask, and I'll be glad to work through this at my going rate of $50 an hour. So that's it for this video on editing the footer of our website. Next we'll look at editing the elements with a customizer. Thanks for watching.